Welcome to this session on my 10 commitments as a mentor. These 10 best practices for clergy mentors are based on research conducted over a number of years by the Lewis Center for Church Leadership. We've worked with many clergy mentors, and we have consistently asked them at the end of their service to tell us what they did that really worked well and what they did that did not work well. And we've asked them, if you were starting over as a mentor, what would you do? These 10 best practices capture the heart of what we've learned from clergy mentors. Commitment 1, I will establish relationships of trust and respect. Nothing is more important. It is the foundation for all that follows. Every word, reaction, and act, especially in the early months, will add to or take away this relationship of trust and respect. Be very careful to convey care, regard, and respect so that you begin your work together with the greatest chance of trust and respect. Commitment 2, I will maintain confidentiality. At the outset of your work together, establish the ground rules for your work, one of which will be the understanding of confidentiality on your part. But make sure that each of you understands what that means. You do have the opportunity to ask permission at times to share information with someone else to which the mentee may or may not give permission. But also realize that there are ethical dimensions of confidentiality. And in cases where there is abuse at stake or the potential harm to the mentee or someone else, you are obliged to share information. But the basic concept is that this is a safe place where ideas can be shared and vulnerabilities can be expressed without regard for those being used against the mentee. Commitment 3, I will create a safe space where leadership grows and relationships flourish. Trust and confidentiality lead to a zone in which a level of honesty and vulnerability are more likely. In such an environment, growth is possible as genuine openness and honest reflection permit new insights about oneself and one's leadership can emerge. The fourth commitment is, I will listen more than I talk. Every mentor we have interviewed or surveys says I talked too much at the beginning. Resist that temptation. Be prepared with lots of open-ended questions to show interest in the other person and to learn more about them. There will be plenty of time to talk later when the mentee begins to ask you questions. The fifth commitment is, I will ask good questions more than I offer answers. I like to say that leaders do not have to have answers, but leaders must have the right questions. You need to model that kind of leadership. Think about questions ahead of time, but only use them as they fit the context and the conversation. To counter your inclination to provide answers, play this game in your mind. Count 1 for every question you ask, and count a -5 for every answer you give, and try to keep a positive score. Commitment 6. I will make sure there is clarity about roles and expectations. Don't assume anything. Spend time working together on what your roles are in this new relationship. And also work on the expectation each of you has of the other. If there are differences, the beginning is the time to clarify them. Commitment 7 is, I will prepare well for each meeting and use time well, modeling and expecting accountability. Be punctual and expect punctuality. Be fully present when you're together. Show you have prepared for the topic of the day. Use the time well. If you are casual about the mentoring experience, they will be casual as well. If you take it very seriously, they will also. Commitment 8. I will pray for mentees in a disciplined manner when together and apart. Having a time of prayer helps set the tone and gives the right grounding for time together between a mentor and a mentee, or a mentor and a group of mentees. It's also very important for the mentee to know that you are praying for them regularly when you are not together. Commitment 9. I will encourage and affirm progress. Be on the lookout for every sign of improvement, leadership, and progress. Always affirm what you want to see more of. There is a place to deal with mistakes and problems, but more growth takes place when there is a glimpse of a strength that can be affirmed. Whatever is affirmed, the mentee will show immediate improvement in. If you can lift up an example of where the mentee showed restraint, for example, when it would have been so easy to have reacted, and you affirm that, then all of a sudden that becomes a part of the mentee's identity as someone who can deal with difficult situations and not overreact. Commitment 10. I will show care and availability while always maintaining appropriate boundaries of time and relationship. This is a balancing act not unlike what clergy face all the time. On the one hand, you want to communicate availability to the mentee, but on the other hand, you are not able always to be available. So sometimes a mentee may feel they need to see you immediately, and yet you may need to suggest that a talk on the telephone may have to do. If there's group mentoring, avoid showing partiality toward some members of the group. This does not mean that you can't provide specific resources or guidance to one or more members of the group based on some particular circumstances they're facing. But you don't want to show special treatment on a consistent basis for no particular reason. Always keep the relationship warm, but always professional, with clear boundaries, so there never is any concern by the mentee or anyone else that professional boundaries are not being observed. Good luck in having a mutually enriching mentoring experience.